This video is to show the construction of a power grid that I built for the back of my FJ Cruiser. I needed power at the back of the FJ Cruiser to provide for things like a refrigerator and a compressor. So this will show that construction and how I got the power to the back of the FJ. I hope you enjoy. My first attempt at providing power to the back of the FJ was simply a 12-volt socket to power the refrigerator. However, I realized that I needed more power, more components, and so I took on a project to build a power grid. Nearly all the components that I've used in this video is shown in the show notes so that you can see what I used. I started with a plastic grid and I cut it down to size so it would fit behind the rear seats of the FJ. Then I took some aluminum U-channel and cut it down so that it would fit the corners and provide rigidity to the system. It doesn't flex very much, so I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. Next, I attached hinges to the bottom of the panel so that it would swing out and allow me access behind it. And I also attached paracord to it so that it would prevent it from over swinging. These posts are what keeps the grid vertical. And to install them, you remove the hooks on the side of the bay and expose the insert. That insert's where you can put a threaded rod, and it has a nut for spacing and then a coupling to hold the distance, and it's adjustable. Once you get the ball on the end of it, then you can adjust it so that the grid stays in a truly vertical position, and then use some Loctite to hold it all in place. The button itself, you cut into the grid, and it simply is a push button so the grid can be moved up and down and lock in place. I took the grid down and made it flat and started attaching electrical components to it. I started with a fuse box, an inverter, USB charger, and a few other things, and just started running wires. So in order to get power to the back of the FJ, I made a connection at the battery. The first thing I did is ran into a circuit breaker. It gives me control over the system and prevents any short circuits downstream from that. The wire going to the back mainly runs through Innerduct system, a plastic wire way. It protects the wire, keeps abrasions low on it, and going through the engine bay. There's several bolts that were sticking out of the firewall that made it easy to put hooks on to hold the wire duct at the back and hold it nice and secure. As it goes down by the engine next to the manifold, it gets pretty hot down there. So what I did is I attached a thermal brake. You can see that here. It is just a heat shield, and it's about 3 foot long, and it protects the cable as it goes down next to the manifold. And then again back into the inner duct. The inner duct is tied off to the frame in various places and then penetrates the cab and a grommet at the rear of the FJ. The negative conductor is grounded at the back of the FJ and joins the positive conductor and gets terminated into an Anderson plug. The Anderson plug allows me easy access in case I want to remove the power grid. All right, so what's the real benefit then of having the power grid system? When I go camping, there's a lot of power needs. You can see a bunch of stuff here. We'll go through it real quick. So real simply, USB charging, right? So if you're doing any type of video or something like that, you're gonna need to charge up cameras and so forth. A lot of them take USB charging. This is a 2.1 amp charger, so it does well for charging just about anything. So GoPros or whatever else, you can get them charged back here. Obviously, getting your phone charged up. You can plug that in back here. This is full-time charging. It doesn't turn off, so you don't have to worry about the ignition being on. I put a long cable here so you don't have to be standing right at the back of the FJ to be able to use it. You can get 6 feet here, you walk away with it. So that's been a definite useful part of this. I've got the inverter in here. It is an 800 watt inverter, so it doesn't power up big appliances, but if you have any radios that you need to charge up, there you go. You can charge them with that. Out camping, we use an immersion vent blender quite a bit, so we plug that in and can blend up coffee or something like that. We have also been tailgating at football games, and we've taken a full-size KitchenAid blender to blend up margaritas. It's always been a crowd favorite with this. Typically when I'm at camp, I've got the solar plugged in back here, so it's charging the system. That has been a real benefit when running the refrigerator. It drains down the batteries, so it's good to have some solar charging, so we can do that from here. Depends where the sun is. I may be at the back charging from here, or maybe at the front, so it just depends on which direction the sun's coming, and if there's trees in the way, I may have to move it. But when we're off the trail, what I typically do is plug in this, so I can, from back here, go ahead and pump up the tires right here. So real effective. Don't have to pop the hood or anything. When we're traveling, I typically keep these covered up, so that way there's no risk of contacting them both at the same time. You see, obviously, have the refrigerator plugged in. So there's a 12-volt outlet right here. So that's where that gets plugged in. And again, this folds down. I have access to the back side, so if I need to get in here, fuses and whatnot, typically I carry back here, electrical components, it's easily accessible. There's space in here, so if there's something I need to carry back here that's not needed right away, I can put that right there. One thing with this inverter is it always draws power if it's on, so I typically keep it turned off so it's not draining the main battery. I only have the one battery set up currently, so I don't want to deplete that battery while I'm just sitting there at camp. When not in use, keep the caps on, and it's ready to go. If I do decide that I need to take it out for whatever reason, it just has the two hinges down here at the bottom. Unscrew those, take off the rope that's holding on to it, and then I've got the Anderson plug down here that I can disconnect and just pull the whole thing out.